I took 2 weeks off work to help my parents remodel their house. I painted, installed cabinets, replaced floors. On the final day, I overheard my mother say, "We only keep him around because he's useful." I wiped my hands on my jeans, packed my tools, and left without a word. A year later, their house flooded and this time, they had to pay every penny. I'm 39, single, no kids. Been living in Dayton, Ohio for over a decade. I work at a metal fabrication shop, steady hours, solid pay. On weekends, I do side jobs like flooring, cabinet installs, small remodels. My hands know what they're doing. I don't talk a lot, but I work hard. Always have. My parents live in a suburb outside of Toledo. Growing up, things were tense. Not violent, but cold. Like they were just checking boxes raising me. There was no love in that house, only duty. They never hugged me. Never said they were proud. When I did something right, it was, "That's expected." When I messed up, they acted like I was an embarrassment. Still, I kept trying to win them over. Even into adulthood. Last year, they called me out of nowhere. Said they'd been saving to remodel the house, but every contractor quote they got was too high. Asked if I could come help. I said yes right away. Didn't even think about it. Told my boss I'd take 2 weeks off. Unpaid. I packed up my tools, drove up to their house, and told myself it was a good thing. Family helping family. Maybe this would bring us closer. I got there and immediately knew they had no plan. No timeline. No materials bought. Just vague ideas. My dad wanted new floors, but nothing fancy. My mom wanted bright cabinets like the magazines. That was it. So I handled everything. I measured. I ordered. I drove to Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, multiple times a day. They just sat there and nodded when I asked them to sign receipts. I painted every room. Took out the stained old carpet and put in new laminate in the bedrooms. Ripped up the busted kitchen tile and installed engineered hardwood. Put in new cabinets. Installed a tile backsplash. Even replaced their rusty old kitchen sink and added a garbage disposal. They never said thank you. Not once. My dad hovered and criticized. "That cut looks uneven. You sure that color works?" My mom made snide comments. "That's what you do for a living, right? Should be easy." Still, I kept at it. Worked 10 to 12 hours a day. Sometimes skipped lunch. My back was screaming by the end of the first week, but I kept telling myself I was doing something good. For them. For the family. The day before I was supposed to head back home, I finished sealing the baseboards and touched up the window trim. They were in the kitchen with the windows open. I stepped outside to clean some brushes by the side of the house. That's when I heard them talking. My mom's voice was clear as day. "Well," she said, kind of laughing, "at least he's good for something. We only keep him around because he's useful." Then my dad chimed in. "Yeah, better than letting him rot away in Dayton. Keeps him busy. Gives him purpose." They both laughed. Like it was just a joke. A little inside joke at my expense. I stood there, holding a dirty rag, heart racing. I didn't go inside. Didn't yell. Didn't ask them what the hell that was about. I wiped my hands, packed my tools, loaded everything into my truck, and drove off. No goodbye. No message. Nothing. That was it. I ignored their texts. Blocked their numbers. Took a few days off to clear my head. Went back to work and didn't look back. They didn't chase me. No big apology. No visit. Just silence. 6 months passed. Then I heard through my cousin Michelle that the house had flooded. She posted a bunch of pictures online. The basement was underwater. The laminate floors I'd put in were buckling. Mold on the walls. Ruined drywall. Soaked furniture. Insurance didn't cover it, something about improper maintenance. They were screwed. Michelle started a GoFundMe. She messaged me asking if I could come help. Said my parents were in over their heads and needed someone who knew the house. I left her on read. The truth is, while I was doing the remodel, I noticed their sump pump was old. Probably original to the house. I offered to replace it for cheap, just the part cost. I'd do the labor free. My dad snapped at me. We don't need you trying to upsell us. This pump's worked fine for 20 years. So I let it go. Now that same pump failed during a storm and dumped 3 feet of water into their basement. Michelle messaged again. I didn't reply. A week later, I got an email from my mom. Brand new Gmail account. Subject: we need to talk. I didn't even open it. Then a letter showed up. 3 pages of guilt and passive-aggressive nonsense. She wrote, "We're sorry if you felt hurt. We appreciate what you did. We were joking. We didn't mean it. Then, please, we need help. You're the only one who understands the house." That was it. No real apology. No ownership. Just a plea. They didn't see me as a person. Still just a tool. A fix-it man with a soft heart. But this time, I didn't come running. I heard later they had to take out a high-interest loan. Contractors charged triple. The mold had spread. Their home insurance threatened to drop them. And I didn't feel guilty. I thought I might. But I didn't. Because when I needed respect, they gave me shame. When I offered help, they gave me insults. They were right about one thing, though. I was useful. Just not to them anymore. I figured that was the end of it. I didn't plan to ever hear from them again. Thought I'd finally closed that chapter. But I was wrong. It started with a visit to my job. I was out back unloading sheet metal with Pete, one of the welders, when he nudged me. "Hey, you know those people?" I looked up. Standing by the fence, in the snow, were my parents. Both bundled in thick coats. My mom was holding a manila folder. My dad looked pissed off. I froze. My hands clenched around the metal dolly. My first instinct was to walk away. Pretend I didn't see them. But Pete was already waving them over. "You want me to go tell the boss?" I shook my head. "No. I'll handle it." They didn't smile when I walked up. My mom spoke first. "We need to talk. Now." I just stood there. "Why are you here?" "We're out of options," she said flatly. "You ignored my letter. We need help." I looked at my dad. He didn't say anything at first. Just glared at me like I'd embarrassed him somehow. Then he said, "You think you're better than us now?" I laughed once. Just once. Cold. "I think I finally know what I'm worth." "That's different. We're your parents," my mom snapped. "We raised you. We gave you everything." I stared at her. "You used me. You mocked me. You treated me like I was disposable." She held out the folder. "We took out another loan. We're going to lose the house." I didn't take it. "Not my problem." "You're going to let your family drown?" my dad said. "You already did," I said, turning to walk away. That should have been it. But a week later, I found out they'd gone to my boss. I got called into the office. My manager, Alan, sat me down and said, "Your parents came by. Said you've been ignoring a serious family emergency. They made it sound like you were having some kind of breakdown." I was stunned. "They what?" "They showed me paperwork," he said. "Begged me to give you more time off." "I didn't ask for that," I said. I never asked them to come here. He nodded slowly. I figured. But you should know, they're desperate. They said they're thinking of suing someone over the remodel. I blinked. Suing who? He shrugged. Didn't say. Just, you might want to watch your back. That night, I checked the county court site. And there it was. A civil complaint. Filed by my parents. Against me. They were accusing me of negligent construction, saying the work I did caused water damage and structural risk. They were trying to make it look like I'd ruined the house. I couldn't believe it. They had no receipts. No contract. No signed agreement. I did the work for free. There wasn't even a text trail. They'd called me directly about everything. I called a lawyer. He read the complaint and said, they're bluffing. But we'll respond. I sent in photos. Messages from Michelle. Screenshots of my mom's email asking for help after the flood. Everything. My lawyer filed a counterclaim for defamation. That should have shut them down. But then I got another surprise. Michelle called me. I almost didn't pick up. But I was tired of guessing. What's going on? I asked. You need to talk to Grandma, she said. It's about the will. What will? She paused. Your parents changed it. Said you're being written out. Entirely. They're leaving everything to the church. I laughed bitterly. They're broke. Not quite, she said. Grandma's house. It's supposed to be split between them and Uncle Randy. But now they're trying to transfer their share to the church. Why? She hesitated. Because they think you're trying to steal it. That you manipulated them into fixing up their house so you could inherit more later. That's when I realized they weren't just desperate. They were delusional. And I was going to have to stop them because they weren't just sinking. They were trying to drag me down with them. After I talked to Michelle, I didn't sleep much. I kept thinking about Grandma's house, how she'd always said it would stay in the family. It was a simple ranch house in Perrysburg. Nothing fancy, but it was paid off, and she took care of it. When I was a kid, I spent most of my summers there. She used to sneak me root beer floats and let me watch action movies when my parents were too strict. If they were trying to screw with her estate now, it wasn't just about money. It was about erasing me from everything. I called Grandma the next day. She picked up on the first ring. Hey there, sweet boy, she said. Her voice was shaky but familiar. Warm. You okay? I should be asking you that, I said. Michelle told me some things. She sighed. They've been hounding me. Want me to change my will. Said you were planning something. That you were waiting for me to die to sell off the house. I felt sick. They actually said that? They'd been coming by every few days. Pressuring me. Your dad even brought a notary once. I told him to get the hell off my porch. Grandma, I said, would never. I know, honey, she cut in. I know what kind of man you are. I just didn't know what they'd become. I offered to come see her. She said she'd like that. When I pulled up to her house the next evening, she was waiting on the porch. She looked tired. Smaller than I remembered. But she smiled the second she saw me. I never believed them, she said once we sat down inside. Not for a second. They're filing lawsuits. Making up stories. Trying to ruin me, I said. She nodded slowly. I think they're scared. Desperate. But it's no excuse. That night, she told me something I didn't expect. I've been thinking about rewriting the will, she said. Leaving the house to you, outright. I stared at her. Grandma, I'm not asking for that. I know you're not, she said. But you're the only one who's shown any heart. They just want what they can grab. I didn't argue. But I didn't say yes, either. 3 days later, my parents showed up at her house. I was there, fixing a leak in her kitchen sink. My dad barged in first. "What the hell are you doing here?" My mom followed, holding a binder full of papers. "He's manipulating her," she hissed. "He's trying to steal everything." I stood up slowly, covered in pipe grease. "I'm fixing a sink." "Is that what you call it?" my dad snapped. "You've got her rewriting her will, handing you the house. She asked me to fix a leak," I said calmly. "I didn't ask her for a damn thing." Grandma walked in then. "Enough." She wasn't yelling, but her voice cut through the room. "You come in here accusing him while he's helping me? After you tried to force me to sign papers I didn't even understand?" My dad turned red. "We were trying to protect you." "From what?" "Your own lies." They started arguing loud, bitter, and messy. I stepped outside and let them shout. Let them burn their bridges all on their own. Later that week, Grandma updated her will with a lawyer present. She left the house to me. "Not out of spite, just because," in her words, "you're the only one who still shows up." My parents found out within days. They escalated the lawsuit. They started telling neighbors I'd manipulated an old woman. Spread rumors through the family that I was dangerous. Said I'd threatened them. Said I was mentally unstable. Then, one night, I got a voicemail. It was Michelle. "You need to be careful," she said, her voice shaky. "They're trying to get a restraining order. They've been collecting statements. They want to make you look unhinged." That's when I realized they weren't just trying to ruin me financially. They wanted me gone. Removed. Isolated. And I wasn't going to let that happen. The day I got served the restraining order papers, I was leaving work. A man in a coat handed me a thick envelope and walked off without a word. The document said I had to stay 200 feet away from my parents. No contact. No visits. No communication. It was based on lies. They claimed I'd threatened them. Said I was harassing them about money. Said I'd shown up at their house at night banging on windows. All made up. All backed by fake statements, some from old neighbors who barely knew me. It shook me. Not because I feared the legal trouble, but because I realized they destroyed any hope of peace. They were cutting me out completely and trying to bury me under it. I met with my lawyer the next day. "They're pushing hard," he said. "But we've got proof on our side. Witnesses. Messages. Photos. You've stayed clean. We can fight this." I nodded. "Then let's fight." We filed a response. Brought in character witnesses: Pete from work, Grandma, even Michelle. All of them said the same thing: I was calm, kind, and never threatened anyone. Then I added one final move. I countersued for defamation, false reporting, and emotional distress. With the emails, the GoFundMe posts, the court filings, and all the times they used me publicly for free labor and then tried to ruin me, my lawyer said we had enough. It went to court 3 months later. My parents showed up with a new lawyer, tight-lipped and cold. My mom wore a black dress, trying to look fragile. My dad sat stiffly like he was in control. I took the stand. I told the judge everything. The unpaid work. The overheard comment. The fake restraining order. The visit to my job. The threats to Grandma. Every little piece. And when Grandma took the stand and called her own son a liar and a coward, I saw my father flinch. The judge dismissed the restraining order as baseless. Then, after reviewing the countersuit, he ruled in my favor. They were ordered to pay damages for defamation. Not a fortune, but enough to sting. $18,000 in total. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I walked out of the courtroom and never looked back. They never paid the judgment. My lawyer had to garnish their wages. Meanwhile, I moved into Grandma's house a few months later when she passed quietly in her sleep. It was bittersweet. She left me the place, but it felt like the last good thing in the family died with her. I fixed it up slowly. With care. Sometimes Michelle would visit. We'd sit on the porch and drink coffee. She stopped talking to her parents too after everything that happened. They broke something that can't be fixed, she said once. She wasn't wrong. I think about it sometimes how I spent my whole life trying to earn love from people who only saw me as a tool. How I let them walk all over me for years. That was my mistake. I gave them too much. And when I stopped, they tried to destroy me. But I didn't let them win. Now they live in a half-remodeled house with court debt and no allies left. The church they tried to impress turned their back when the truth came out. Their GoFundMe got reported and removed. They're alone now. Just like they made me feel for years. And me? I wake up in peace. I don't need their love anymore. I don't need anything from them. They made me useful. But I made myself free.